Hey guys, Mook out here. This is going to be a quick video lesson on trends, trend patterns, and I'll show you guys how to draw the trend lines on your charts accurately. So let's get started. What is a stock market trend? It's a pattern that repeats itself inside the market. It's a change in price or price action. What causes these trends? Just as always, we're using money to trade stocks, so fear and emotion are our big factors. Pattern behavior, patterns that people have seen over time, and now that these have been considered a pattern behavior, they will continue to repeat themselves. Also, inflation and earnings in stocks will cause trends as well. News can cause trends. There's a lot of different factors, but fear, emotion, and pattern behavior are the key focuses on day trading trends. Types of trends, well, you'll have your uptrends, your downtrends, your channels, and then you'll also have trends inside of trends. So you'll have a big overall trend, and then you'll have the smaller picture that is happening inside of that trend. So we'll take a look at those, as well as how to identify these trends. Alright guys, so some technical terms you'll hear me say is run and retracement or pullback. And these are just the general direction of the trend. As you can see in this one, we have an upward trend, so all of our runs are the upward blue lines, and the retracements or pullbacks are the red lines going against the trend. And these are just people selling off for profits, and then the trend is continuing. So that's what creates that upward trend. Other technical terms you'll hear me say are the beginning, the body, and the end of trend. The beginning of the trend is anytime you come off of basically a breakout or a trend reversal and it starts a new trend, so that'll be the beginning. And then the body is basically the middle part of the trend, and then the end is where we begin to lose momentum or the trend begins to show indications of a shift in pattern. Alright guys, so here is a stock that has increased in price, and we will call this an upward trend. And what defines the upward trend will be the lower lows. You can see here we started down here at the bottom, and every time it has pulled back or retraced, it has created a new higher low. This low is higher than the previous. So as you can see, as you mark these off, it kind of creates a staircase pattern to the top, and once you get to a certain point, it begins to lose momentum, and you will see eventually you can no longer make marks that are higher, and they actually begin to become lower lows. So that is our definition of an uptrend, is when we begin to make these higher lows, and we'll show you how to draw this trend line. So to draw the trend line, what I like to do is I like to start at the lowest point of the trend and find points where it contacts or supports off of that trend line as much as possible. They don't have to be exactly touching, but you want them very close. And as you can see, eventually you will come to a point where the trend line is broken. Once it begins to drop through the trend line and the trend line is no longer supporting, then that trend line no longer is accurate. You need to start drawing new trend lines. And as you can see, this one has changed several times, but that is how you draw the correct trend lines. And so when you draw these trend lines, you can just pretty much keep drawing them until they are no longer supporting each other, and this will give you a general direction of what the market's doing. You can just continue drawing lines until you make certain patterns and certain shapes, and as you can see, you know, it creates a nice channel and then a triangle shape here, kind of a channel downward for a little bit, and this will help you identify when is a safe time to take trades and get the overall direction of the market. Obviously, if you're doing a short-term trade and you're following this trend line, you don't want to take your trades up here. That's not going to be very profitable for you. But if you notice it's supporting this trend line here and it continues to support it, maybe this would be a good spot to buy. Maybe this one would be a good spot to buy. Maybe down here. It just really depends on the trend, but as you can see, it supports this trend line very well. But you don't want to just take a trade assuming that it's going to support off the line. I'm going to show you some risk management strategies and some trade strategies on when to take these trades later on in my videos. So don't just go on and draw these trend lines and say, oh, well, he showed me that it's going to respect this trend line, I'm just going to take it right here at this red candle. Well, what if the trend decides to reverse and continues downward? Then what have you done? You've put yourself in a really hard position to sell. If everybody else is selling, it's really hard to get out. So I'll teach you guys trade strategies in a later video, but for now this is just trends and trend lines. So we have this overall trend. You got this channel laid out. Let's take a look at a zoomed in version and see what I mean by trends inside of a trend, and I'll show you the individual trends that are happening within this trend. So this is the 1 minute chart of that same stock that I was showing you earlier, and you can see that we have a little bit of a channel upward here, and you still have your runs and your retracements and your runs and your retracements. However, it's on a much smaller, tighter scale. This is happening every hour and every minute rather than every single day or every week. So when you're taking short-term trades, make sure you're looking at a scale appropriate to the time frame you're trading. Like if you wanted to trade intraday, you're going to want to look at maybe your overall monthly chart to see where the stock is going and to see what trend lines to follow, but also you want to zoom in on it and draw intraday trend lines to see and make sure you're making safe trades and have a plan of action for the day as well. So in this chart, as you can see, if you were taking this trade here, you were following this trend line, you might want to buy at this red to green move and sell here. As soon as you see these trend lines break, you're back in a downward trend, and you'd be holding for maybe a day or two before you start to see another uptrend. So time frame trading is another big important thing that we want to look at, is make sure you're trading on a chart that fits your time constraints. So what I'd like to see you guys do with this video is just load random charts, it doesn't really matter, and find ones that are trending. It's a lot easier to draw trend lines when you find a chart that is following certain trend patterns, and just begin to draw these lines out. And if you feel like you are confused or you're having an issue drawing these lines, feel free to email me or contact me, and I'll be willing to help you guys out. So you can just start drawing lines in between these trend channels. You can start seeing patterns that are forming. Just continue to draw lines on your charts, and eventually you'll be able to identify these patterns before they even happen. You'll see what we're looking for breakouts. This is a great way to learn how to draw support and resist lines as well that follow the same principles. So this trend chapter is very important. Alright guys, I think that'll about do it. If you have any questions, hunt me down in the chat room, email me, private message me, whatever you gotta do. Find me on Twitter. Our next video will be on support and resistance levels.